Okay, it's recording. Hi, enlightened voices. I hope everybody had a great day. We are here as promised, and we are here with Rashon Barksdale. Welcome to season 1 of Enlightened Voices. This is literally season 1 is all about building self awareness. Episode 1 is discussing building the firm foundation, how to have that self awareness and be connected to your identity all in one as you continue to build and discover the layers that you have as you continue your journey. So I found Rashawn on LinkedIn. He's my Libra twin. So shout out to the Zodiacs. But I found him on LinkedIn. I went and listened to Shawnee Sean Mondays. After talking to him, season 5, fire. I cannot stress that enough.
Thank you.
I cannot.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
with that being said, I already know how great you are. So just go ahead and let my listeners know who is Rashawn.
Well, first thing first, thank you. So honored to be on the first episode of your podcast. Definitely don't take that for lightly. But to your audience, hi guys. My name is Rashon Barksdale. I'm located in Columbus, Ohio. Just a little bit about me. I am a public and motivational speaker. I am a host of a podcast, my podcast, Shiny Shine Monday, where I have been doing it for 8 years. Most of the years it's been on Snapchat and Instagram Live, but around the fourth year, like in the middle, the fourth year, yeah, I transitioned it to officially become a podcast. So there's 5 seasons on there, and I'm working on the last and final season of the podcast on the way. But to reach that out, you can find it on Google. You can type it up on Google. It's on Google Podcasts. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple and a couple other podcast apps. But yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Okay. So just to go ahead and dive right in, an episode in season 5 that you
Hmm.
talked about, and that we also talked about too, though, kind of took me for a loop for a little bit. So I just want to go ahead and ask about both things just so they can hear like what I heard.
Hmm.
So first, I want you to tell them about your 3 points on where's your heart.
Oh, where's your heart, man? And it's funny. I just did a recent message. I did a recent message. So on the podcast, I'm not too sure. Dang, I should have looked back. I'm not too sure what I did when it comes with your heart on the podcast. But on
No,
a
that's the
recent,
one we talked about when we first met. So I wanted to start with that one.
oh, the message that I did. Okay, so
Yeah.
I recently spoke at my alma mater in Central State University during their convocation during homecoming week, and so the title of my message was "Where's your heart?" And so, where your heart is, your time is. Where your heart is, your treasure is. And well, where your heart is, your talent is. I'm sorry. And then where your heart is, your treasure is. And so, basically, to sum the message all is how committed are you? Are you committed to the things? Are you committed to your goals? Are you committed to your dreams? My couples, are you committed to your partner? uh, Career wise? Are you committed to your job? Are you committed to thyself? But before I even ask you that question, what is your why? Why are you here? What is your purpose in life? Why are you in the relationship? Why do you like the things that you like? And it's so important to know your why in areas of your life for what to be committed on. For commitment helps you stay focused, but your why is your motivation, and it just helps you keep going. And so that was my message during convocation.
Ugh, I love that. Now y'all see why he was the first one. Like now you see how we laid the cement for the foundation. Like those points all tied in with self-awareness are big things to carry with you throughout life because the only thing constant is change. So your friends are going to change, the things that you like are going to change, your feelings can change, seasons change. So
Mm,
knowing those things and being self-aware of those things in those moments is what's really going to help you figure out how to be who you are as a person and how to just stay authentic to that. So like, okay, now that we talked about the greatness of that,
sure.
do you feel like that is kind of something that helps you on your journey? Like that advice right there, is that like a personal
Man,
experience type of thing?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. It'd be so fun. It'd be so funny, like when you give the advice and be like, "Do you be taking the advice yourself?" But it's just what makes it so good. And most of my messages is I just relate to it. I have a testimony to it because I've been through it. It can be from just trying to find my identity to relationships to career goals. Um, but I can at least give you one thing on my testimony is it's my podcast. My podcast, I was committed to the boy. I was fully invested. It definitely had my time. It definitely toned and used my gifts for it. It definitely was an investment. I spend some money because you know the greatest investment you can ever do is invest in thyself. And so because of my heart was for my podcast, didn't even realize that my podcast is literally helped me to the person that I became. My podcast helped me become a better speaker. My podcast helped me get to further my education after Central State University and go get my master's at Syracuse University. My podcast
Exactly.
helped me you helped me where I want to go with this. My podcast helped me get my job because because with radio station, with being at a radio, especially becoming an on air, the problem is if you don't have experience in actually being on air, most radio stations don't pick you up because they feel like you're a liability. And instead of them trying to train you and work you up, they don't want to take that investment. And so, because I had that experience with my podcast, and even though I wasn't on air, the job that I'm currently at now, which I work for Urban One in the Columbus location, that was like, we love your
Okay.
podcast. We love what you do. We're going to take that chance on you, and I'm so appreciative, like for them for taking the shot on me, investing in me, and I'm learning so much at the radio station as we speak.
And that is so good. And that's definitely one of the questions that I wanted to ask you too. Like, what got you here? Like, what really led you down this path that you walk now? Like, just kind of elaborate on that because I feel like you know how it can look from before you get to that point that you have all of this confidence and all of this courage to go ahead and achieve these things. Like, how was it before this? Like, what led you here?
Man, thank you for that question. That's a good question. I'd say what led me to this. Well, I think what led me to the career. I'll say this. What led me to the career was I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be, and so I know I always wanted to help people, but I just didn't know what way to put it. And I thought I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a judge or an attorney. Like I love, helping people. But then once when I figured out you gotta read and you gotta write, like really, really good, you got to read. You know, there different type of
All those
attorney.
years of school,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So like, yeah, I wasn't. I was like, okay, you know, this ain't for me. And so then I was thinking, okay, I like maybe the mind psychology and all that, and I took a class and I got a C, and I was like, this ain't it. This ain't it. And so, fast forward to my senior year, um, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And my mom was like, "You've been doing your podcast since sophomore year. What about entertainment? You can help people that way." And I was like, "Hey, like, I think I like that, mom." And so the passion and like the drive was like, all right, let's just focus on this, and the rest is history. But what got me here was before figuring all that out senior year, and even up to then, I was bullied heavily. I didn't have a voice. Um, I wasn't confident in myself. I am an overthinker, and I'm still an overthinker. And so, a lot of self doubt, a lot of lack of grace. And so, when you get bullied and you want to just be a part, you try to do whatever you can to fit in. And even with that, it just makes the situation worse. And so I would say by my senior year, um, shout out to two people who like they will forever, just get my love and my respect. There was a teacher, my one of my favorite teachers ever, goes by the name of Dr. Thomas. She actually teach African American literature, which is not common in Central Ohio at all. Like there's no class out of all the high schools in Central Ohio that's teaching that class, but she taught that class, and she just, you know, through learning African American literature, but she just expressed, just be you. It's so comfortable. It's comfortable. It's okay to be you and be comfortable in it. And so whatever your gift at, like spread those wings. And so she was a huge help. And also my best friend, um, high school bro, Joey Gthuru. Shout out to my boy Joey in Seattle. During that time, and he knew I was getting bullied, but during that time, he just literally his words was like, "F them, bro, just be you." And so I was like, "Is it really that easy?" And the answer is yes. As soon as I got out of my head, as soon as I stopped worrying about what other people think of me, because their opinions on me doesn't have to be my reality, and I just focus on me, I started to see things that I like and see things that I don't like. And I start to peep my strengths and peep my flaws and just work on it. And so now I would say because of those turning points help me be comfortable or start to become more comfortable of who I am. So,
I love that. I feel like that was very just transparent and relatable to actually hear that that's what led you to this. And it makes so much sense, though, to have experienced feeling silence for so long. And then the career that you're meant to have involves you being vocal. And that's the one reason why I use my platform to tell people like being vocal really is mandatory, regardless of how you use your voice, whether you're rapping, singing, speaking like we do on your podcast, whatever the case may be, comedy, anything. Like being vocal is mandatory. So it's much more beneficial to really learn how to vocalize all of the emotions and things that you feel in an effective and just like productive type of way. And I feel like that's a big part of being authentic in your identity to always be able to communicate that to any person.
mm. And also to add to that, you everyone has a voice and everyone should use their voice, but be mindful on how you use your voice, because
Yeah.
life and death is in the power of the tongue. We live in we live in America. I don't know, and your audience might be global. So shout out to the people that's watching worldwide. Um, to people that live in the United States of America, you have freedom of speech. But how do you use that speech? Do you use it for love or do you use it for hate? Are you using it to attack someone? Are you using it to bless someone? So it's so extremely important on how you use your voice and how you speak life to yourself. Because if you're not confident in yourself and you say words that are going against on what you're trying to do, and you're saying things that are not confident, you're saying things that are negative, they're going to continue to feel that way. So you have to speak positive over your life. You have to look in the mirror and speak affirmations and refusals, like, I deserve love, peace, and happiness, and I refuse to be guided by doubt. So it's like just saying those and repeating it, you're gonna start to change and feel it and move that way. So it's just so good.
That is so refusals. Nobody has ever, you hear, say the affirmations. You hear to always speak the positive, but nobody ever talks about how to protect yourself from those negative things. Like, well, what can I say to protect myself from this instead of always being in a state of release? You know, like from my experience, I feel like anytime I'm saying like those type of things, like self-doubt, anything negative, it's a release. I release this. But it's like I've never actually thought to refuse or just block that type of energy at all. That is great. That is great advice. Speaking of other great advice, I just would like to talk about let's let's just kind of ask little small simple questions, like maybe what's your favorite movie or something like that.
My favorite movie.
Yes.
All right, wait. Okay, are we talking about all right? Because I got a lot of favorites, so I got like different
The
sections. So I got like the regular movies, and I got like my childhood movies. Like,
go to childhood movies. I feel like everybody we grown now. What was like the childhood movie? Go to the throwback.
hands down, easily is Lion King. Hands down is Lion King. I was Simba was my boy. That was my dog. Like, I relate to Simba. Um, not everything, but just growing into the person that I needed to be. So, love Simba, love so much. But yeah, Lion King was my joint. That was my thing.
So you said like going into the person that you need to be, like what type of lesson did you take from Lion King for you to have just referenced it in that way?
So, one of the things that I took from it, and I actually used this in a different message. That title of the message was called "What Do You See?" And so the lesson that I took, I pulled from Lion King was, hopefully y'all watch Lion King. If not, go watch it. But I'm sorry, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it. It came out in 1999, guys. I don't know what to tell you.
Literally.
But Simba finally met Rafiki at his adult stage of life. Simba is finally adult now. He's an adult. Um, Simba finally meets Rafiki again. And so they had a conversation, and he said, "By the way, I know your father." And so he was shook. And so he was like, "Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but my father is dead." And he said, "No, wrong again. He's alive, and I will show you." And so, little context, his father died when he was young. His father was actually murdered, which you will find out later in the movie, by his uncle, Scar. But Rafiki, he said he's alive. He'll show you. So he's running through the jungle. He's getting caught up in some vines. He's tripping over the branches, the logs that might be on the ground. And so he finally made it to Rafiki, and he said, "Stop. Look down there. That's where your father is." And so Simba's nervous. He's afraid. He has mixed emotions. He's like, man, I haven't talked to my dad in so long. Like, what does this look like? Like, ah. But he goes down. He looks at the creek and he sees the water and he was hurt. He was like, that's not my father. That's just reflection. And Rafiki said, no, look harder. You see, because he lives in you. And so it took me when I got older to watch it, and that message hit me, and it made me reflect over my life. And what I just talked about with Dr. T and Joey is that, yes, Rafiki was, I don't think he was literal, like, hey, your father lives inside you, but inside you is a king. Inside you is a man of authority, Simba. Inside you is greatness. And I need you to realize that you have that inside you and that you need to come home because you are destined to be a king and not just live this solo life. You're destined to rule. So I need you to go back to what you're called to do. See, because once when his father died, he left the village. He left his family. He left the pride. And he ran into his best friends Timon and Pumbaa. And there's nothing wrong with Timon and Pumbaa, but Timon and Pumbaa didn't see the greatness inside him. And because of that, they became a distraction. But you need some Rafikis, you like some Joey, some Dr. Thomas to tell you there's some greatness inside you. Actually, just focus on you. And so that's one of the lessons that I took huge from Lion King. And it's so good that like childhood movies will bring the best out of you, bring some lessons out of you, boy. It really be good. It really be
At
good.
what age did that hit for you like that though? At what point did that come to you like that?
Man, I would say last year. I want to say last year or the year before. So two was it 2000? Yeah, no, it was 2003. It was 2003. Um, because I was getting ready for that message, but not for my speaking engagement just yet. But this was
Yeah.
before that. It was actually I was using it for a Bible study. And so I'm just trying to figure out this message on what do you see. And so out of the blue, like, God spoke to me. He was like, watch Lion King. I was like, all right. And so I watched it again, and then he was like, okay, I need you to rewind that part. Watch that part again. Oh, okay, I'll watch this part. And then like it just hit me. I was like, oh yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I need you to talk about that. I need
And that
you
was
to.
just about to be my next question. Like, were you already at like your spiritual state that you are now?
Yeah,
That was just about to be my next question. Like,
yeah, yeah. I definitely was. Me and God. Yeah, we in tune. We locked in. I'm still trying to be more
and it
obedient.
feels good. It feels good to be guided like that in little aha moments like that. Like that feel real good.
Yeah, and I just I love giving analogies because of course give scripture is so important, but to help people understand more, you got to give them stories. You got to give them
Hmm.
stories, either your testimony or analogies or movies and films that they can understand. And so that's what happened and provided, and it made sense. So it was really good.
I seen a video on Instagram yesterday about a guy who he gave like some really good
Mhm.
common sense realization of the analogies in the Bible. Like
Mhm.
how he just humanized it and just made it make sense. Cause as a person who I don't really feel like I grew up with any type of religion in the house. Like it was just me and my daddy. So he was more of like, my mama forced me to go to church, so I'm not going to church now. But if you want to go to church, you can go to church though, but I'm not going with you. So as a kid, what? Okay, like no. So by the time I came into spirituality, like it just allowed me to have just this acceptance and open mind for everything. So I feel like I'm just like a sponge to all of the information. And then for me, I can sit down and process it all and make it all make sense to like my truth type of thing. So, but the man was like, again, didn't grow up in religion. Whoever got swallowed by the whale didn't get swallowed by the whale. He was just swallowed by his circumstances in life. Like he was just swallowed in circumstances. I forgot like some of the other ones that he said, but it was really good. Just humanized analogies of like what the Bible is actually trying to express to you, like these type of situations that are actually real life.
Hmm.
A lot of people would think, oh, that's fake because it just to us in a 3D dimension, that don't make no sense. Like you're not getting swallowed by no whale and coming out. Like just in a logical standpoint, but to humanize it that way and understand, like listen to what he was actually going through and then think about that's no different than somebody saying like the elephant in the room.
Mm. Okay. Yeah,
And I feel like,
you're speaking on that particular story. That's Jonah. Yeah, Jonah
okay,
was
yeah.
he was disobedient. Um, because God wanted him to go speak at a place that was fully a hot mess, and was pretty much like, "Look, y'all don't get it together. I'm gonna destroy y'all." But he was so afraid and didn't want to do it. He was disobedient, and because of that, he got swallowed by the whale. Um, but I think to go with your message, talking about getting swallowed up by things, I look at Joseph. Joseph was the man of kings of dreams. And so he had a vision to where he said, he spoke to his brothers, and the brothers couldn't stand him. They did not like him at all. I feel like they hated the man. Like that's how much they just didn't like Joseph. And
It's
Joseph
giving
was
black to you. Okay.
and Joseph he was also the favorite child. He was the favorite child out of the group. But
Oh, okay, that's why.
he told his family that he had a dream that he was standing and that all his brothers were kneeling down to him. Brothers wasn't having it, and so
Of
they
course.
they kidnapped his brother. They threw him into a pit, and so after that, they sold his brother into slavery. And so after they sold him into slavery, he was a slave under um, uh, a master in Egypt, Potiphar. And so he did good work. He did good work under his master, but the wife of the master was like,
Okay. What's
she's
her
trying
name?
to, she's trying to, I forget her name. I forget her name. But she tried to, get down with Joseph, and he was like, yeah, nah, I ain't going because I respect my master. So she lied on him, saying that he did some things to her, and so he was thrown into jail. Fast forward to that, while he was in jail, he prophesied because he's the king of dreams. He prophesied, or he prophesied because these guys had two bad dreams, and he said, "Explain your dreams to me." And so he explained the dreams to two people, and he explained the dream of what was going to happen, and both of them were getting released from prison that day. And so he told one of them, please go speak to Pharaoh and like tell him, like, like release me, like free me. And so he was dude was like, yo, I got you, like word, 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 I got you. He never did it. He forgot. But
Okay.
then the Pharaoh started to have dreams and had nightmares. And so he tried to get everybody, some prophets, priests, people who can read dreams, like, yo, I need to know what these dreams about. No one can answer it. But then the guy remembered. He was like, oh, there's this dude in the joint, like in the jail in the big house, who read my dream. I know he can read yours. He was like, send him to me as once. And Joseph explained the dream to him. He was like, yeah, no, I need you to be with me. I need you to be in charge of this. Like you're about to, I'm taking you higher. And so fast forward, the vision that he had back then came to pass now. And his brothers were literally laying at his feet. And so basically, what I was trying to tell you, because it took me a minute to get to the point where I was talking about, but
It needed
that
to be
story,
told. It needed to be.
what that story is relating to what you're talking about, get swallowing up, is that everyone gets a vision. Everyone has some dreams. Everyone has some goals. But are you willing to go through the process? Are you willing to go through the process? Because Joseph knew that piece of the vision. He didn't know fully, but he knew he was going to be under, his brother was going to lay at his feet. But it seemed like he knew that he was going to be some type of authority. He didn't know probably he was going to rule most of Egypt, but he did not know that he had to go through that process. I believe if God would have told him, "Hey, you this gonna happen, but you're gonna go through X and Y and Z," he probably would have backed out like, "Yeah, nah, I'm gonna keep my
Wouldn't have
mouth."
told him about that dream.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. He wouldn't have said nothing. He would have kept his mouth shut and just kept it pushing.
And just to give people a realization of that as a woman, just to express the reality of people interpreting dreams and the capabilities that you are able to accomplish in the dream realm, and the type of downloads and messages that you are able to receive, the people that you are able to see, um is so far beyond my actual literal explanation. I have been My son, his name is Onyx. Onyx is a stone of protection. His whole name is Onyx Divine Messiah.
Mm.
Um his birthday is 11/11/23, which is 123, which is a sequence, which is an order, because he will bring the message of order. But that so when I was pregnant with Onyx, people talk about, you hear pregnant women talk about, their dreams and how crazy their dreams are and stuff like that. But the stuff is so real that I think people don't understand the type of things you're able to unlock and activate. I've learned so many things about my daughter while being pregnant with my son that I feel like would have just been hard for me to understand awake, if that makes sense. Like I've um literally like been to the spirit world. I've seen siblings and had conversations with siblings that I have lost. But I was doing that at 10 though. My first brother died when I was 10. He got shot um at 14 and he died. So, but I was doing that then. I was having experiences like that in my dreams then, like of us going to familiar places and just still having conversations, and these meetups just feeling like literal things that's going on. Like it's so crazy. But the things that I was able to receive about my daughter and the type of spirit that she has and who she actually is, and I've experienced good and bad things with that. I've in my dream world fought demons for my girl. I have, been I've heard prophecies of the type of spirit that she has and just who she actually is, like, meant to be. So that stuff, y'all, is a different type of experience when we have these experiences where we just are what can seem coincidentally led to moments and conversations and realizations are actually us being literally moved through, like just being that actual vessel. um I'll say this and then I'll kind of close it up. So I speak to this happiness specialist on a networking app called Owl. I'm not an ambassador or anything, but Owl is a instant one-on-one networking app that you can put money on and people will set their price and you can call them and just instantly one-on-one boom connect with that person right then and there. Um and she tagged me in a video on LinkedIn. Um or no, on Facebook actually, and it was a man saying he asked a question. And the question is, it could be something small like, how are you today? Don't say it out loud. And this is something that I actually need you to do. Don't say it out loud, but answer the question, how are you today? Okay. Okay. Now I'm gonna ask it and you can say it out loud. So how are you today?
Good.
So do you think that you are the actual person that was thinking it or the person that said it? Like which one of them is the real you?
Um, both. I mean, cause you said don't say it, and I just moved my mind and lift up my phone. But then now say it, and I just spoke it out. So I don't know.
Okay. That was a trick question because you're wrong. It's neither. You're neither. You are a soul observing a human experience. So
Mm,
that's how you know, oh, I thought it in my head and I raised up my thumb and then I said it.
mm,
That is a observation of the soul. So when you stay in that state of the observer and just understand that these are just things that you're actually witnessing,
mm,
when it's time, when you have time of turmoil, it's so much easier to step back and really evaluate what's going on. And that is the actual beauty of knowing the difference in the three.
mm,
So the mind, the body, and the spirit. Your mind is the one that thought it, your body is the one that said it, and your spirit is the one that observed you do both.
mm.
So if you can step back and after you do the things that you need to do to learn yourself though, you have to kind of go into that identity like we just said, like whether you will have that realization at some point. Don't rush it because the things that you learn for the meantime in between time is what prepares you for where you're at in that moment. So I just think that my closing advice would be to just strive to be self-aware, and not even just self-aware but just strive to be aware.
Mm,
And a part of being aware is a part of being aware of self. And when you are aware of yourself, you are able to maneuver throughout life in a much easier and more fluent way because you can call yourself out on your things, but then you also are able to observe the people around you and really reassess and know how to move things around when it's time to make those changes. So, saying that, Rashawn, what do you feel like? What type of closing advice would you have for them on just being self-aware and stepping into the identity of who they are really authentically wanting to be?
I'll say this when it comes to identity. Um, it is a journey. It's not something that is easily obtained. You It's not just like, oh, I just know myself. No, it takes time. So be patient with yourself, show grace with yourself. And I will give you this quote so I can explain it. At the every top of a mountain, At every top of a mountain is a bottom of another one. At every top of a mountain is the bottom of another one. You are at the bottom. You're going to climb to a top, and that top might be a stage of a life. That top might be an achievement, but then you start over, and you're not starting over to ground zero. No, you're at ground one. And as you continue to climb, the altitude will get higher. At times, it will be hard to breathe, but then to where you were started with everybody. Now you look to your left and your right, you don't see a lot of people with you. And that is exactly the journey of when you're finding yourself. You're always gonna learn more about yourself. It's gonna always happen. It's never gonna stop. You're never gonna stop growing. You're never gonna stop. You can choose to do that, but if you choose not to move, you're getting worse. So just keep going, be patient with yourself, and enjoy it. Embrace the journey of getting to know yourself.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Man, this a good one. This a good one. This how you start a season off right here. Really. It definitely is. I feel like the gems that was dropped here in this moment is beyond amazing. And as I said, I've already listened to Shani Shun Monday, and I think it's about that time per my request. I think it's time to for you to get ready for our closing prayer, please.
Prayer. So, of course, everyone get in a comfortable state of prayer. God, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for waking us up this morning. Thank you for letting us walk, talk, sing here. Thank you for dying for us. God, to anyone that's listening under the sound of my voice, God, I just give you to them. We give them to you, God. Let your will be done over their life. God, you said in your words, you created us in your own image. In your own, we're beautiful. We are wonderfully made. And God, I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you for choosing us. Thank you for creating us. We are a masterpiece. So, God, we give thanks to you for that. So, God, remind us when we're at our low. Remind us when we're high in the mountain or when we're low in the valley. Remind us through our ups and downs that we are who you are because you said that we are. We are great. We are wonderful and beautifully made. We are people of authority. We can do things all through you. Remind us that when we feel low. Remind us that when we doubt. And God, just remove any distraction that might be in our way to the path that you created for us. For in your word, you said in Jeremiah 29, verse 11, for I know the plan, said the Lord, plans to give you hope in the future, not plans to destroy you. So, God, we just give thanks and honor, praise you for that. Continue to let your will be done and not of ours. Speak through our words, be in our thoughts. You'll forever get this glory. We love you, we praise you, we adore you. We ask these things in your sweet, wonderful, and precious name. Amen.
Shay. I love that. So with that being said, enlightened voices. Y'all vibrate high. Y'all know I love y'all. Rashawn, I got a feeling you'll be back on. You'll be back on. Just
I
thinking
love
about how the season's gonna go. You'll be back. So with that being said, great, great, great guest. Thank you so much for being on and being able to just help me with just the behind the scenes things of having a podcast that come with us being right here right now in this moment. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for all of the wisdom that you just laid out for everybody on this platform. Enlightened voices. Y'all vibrate high.
My pleasure. Thank y'all, guys.